Hey, good morning, everybody, and a happy Friday Eve to you. I'm Rob Evans, and welcome to a Daybreak Plus. We're recapping all of the local news you may have missed overnight, and then we're going deep into the topics that actually matter to you. And we begin with the debates over medical marijuana access at the Texas Capitol. Now, some doctors say the THC in cannabis can help treat several different health issues. This is not anything new here. We've been talking about epilepsy, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis. Well, KVUE's Darynisha Heron talked to a mom about how these proposed changes could help not just her child, but possibly thousands of other patients right here in Texas. Take a look.
10-year-old Jacob Ortiz's health hasn't always been an upward climb.
His epilepsy was sporadic. It was unpredictable. He has what's considered complex partial seizures.
His mom, Kaylee Cook, says in 2020, doctors prescribed her son medical cannabis through the Texas Compassionate Use Program because his epileptic drug was no longer working.
I'm not sure if I really remember it because it's been like a really long time since I've had one.
We're almost 4.5 years seizure-free now because of starting the medical cannabis.
Senate Bill 1505, filed by State Senator Charles Perry, aims to expand access to the T-Cup program in many ways, including changing how it's measured to allow access to other forms of the medication.
So instead of only selling edibles like these gummies, the changes would allow them to provide things like inhalers, patches, or capsules.
This is really important for patients with episodic conditions where they feel something coming on immediately and want immediate relief.
So much simpler for somebody who's approaching their teen years, right, and doesn't necessarily want to bring a tincture along.
The bill would also allow licensed dispensaries to operate satellite storage facilities to make it easier for patients to access prescriptions. The CEO of Texas Original, Nico Richardson, says currently they have to store the medication at one facility and use drivers to drop it off across Texas.
It's very costly, and it can lead to some pretty extensive wait times for patients to get their medicine. So this should make medicine both cheaper and more accessible to patients across the state.
Lastly, the bill calls for adding 6 more licensed dispensaries in Texas. Right now, there are only 3.
Hopefully it reaches somebody who might be questioning what the options are.
That was Darynisha Heron there. The lawmakers heard testimony on Monday, but so far, no action has been taken. Meanwhile, the state Senate has been considering a bill that would actually make the sale of all consumable hemp products containing THC illegal. Senate Bill 3 would also make it illegal to market or to sell those consumable hemp products to minors. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and some other lawmakers say that the retailers have been exploiting the law that was passed in 2019 to legalize hemp with up to 0.3% THC. Right now, SB 3 is still in committee and has yet to advance to the full Senate. Take a listen.
Unlike any other state, really, we do have the wherewithal sometimes to do great big things that impact everybody.
Hard to hear stories about.
Now in the Texas Senate, lawmakers passed Senate Bill 5 to create the Dementia Prevention Research Institute of Texas. Kind of like the Cancer Prevention Research Institute, DPRIT as it's called. It's intended to accelerate research into dementia to find cures and find treatments. Now, voters would have to approve a constitutional amendment to create this agency, but the bill does head to the House now. Right now, Texas ranks 3rd in the nation for number of Alzheimer's patients. And more politics on the Capitol. Texas now has its own version of a DOGE, I should say. It's called the Delivery of Government Efficiency Committee. The new Texas committee has the same mission as Elon Musk's federal committee: find ways to cut spending and cut fraud. Now, on Wednesday, that committee heard testimony about questions about spending, about technology, about operations, and the chairman, Giovanni Capriglione, says the committee will operate with precision. Take a listen.
2 years, so this is an opportunity for us to go and look at what's been done over the last 2 years and possibly longer. I mean, the size of government has grown. We have almost 270,000 different rules and regulations in the state. This is a great opportunity. The timing is right for us to go and find those that are duplicative, unnecessary, or too costly or burdensome for folks.
Now, lawmakers are asking for your help. They set up an email address to send tips about waste, about fraud and possible abuse. Here you go. Listen to this.
Texas can lead the way in responsible, efficient government. Ensuring tax money is being responsibly should be a bipartisan goal. But let me be clear, my focus is not about cutting essential services or devaluing hardworking public servants. I'm here to work with you, not against you, to improve how we serve Texans.
That was Salman Broham there. The committee is expected to continue working over the next 2 years through the legislative session and until the next one begins, which is in 2027. Well, it is 7:06 right now. Let's get a look at weather and traffic with Grace and Hannah. What can we expect out there? Starting with Grace.
Hey, good morning, Rob. We are tracking some high fire danger, unfortunately, again for today. So looking across Texas this morning, we do have some high level clouds kind of building in from the west, but mostly clear conditions right now for Austin as you're getting up and starting your day out there. We are tracking some higher wind speeds out towards the far west, San Angelo down to Sonora and Rock Springs, gusting into the 20s right now. Pretty calm for our region, but we will see those winds start to boost up as we head into this afternoon and this evening. Portions of West Texas will be under a red flag warning today. Also, most of New Mexico under that as well, excluding Albuquerque, but areas to the east of Albuquerque certainly need to watch for fire weather danger. Now, this is something that's going to be in and out of our forecast for a couple of days here, and of course, that includes today. So for the moment, we're seeing nice sunny skies out there, cool temperatures though as the sun starts to rise, 39 in Georgetown for the moment, but the rest of us gearing towards about 50 degrees as we head towards the 7:30 half hour. Now, wind speeds and gusts pretty calm for the moment, like I said, coming out of the south and east. That's boosting up the humidity levels for areas to the east of town. However, to the west of town, we're seeing much drier conditions continue. So that is why we are going to have the high fire weather danger kind of hug the hill country today and not so much the eastern areas. All right, today's planner, it's still going to be very nice outside for this afternoon, 72 degrees for that high temperature. But again, those wind speeds building as we head into about noon, 2 p.m. That's when they'll start to gust up to about 25 miles per hour. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. You'll see 27 on the graphic there. We could see gusts upwards of 35 miles per hour over towards the hill country and probably about 25 to 30 miles per hour here in the I-35 corridor. So again, high category for areas like Georgetown, Round Rock, Austin, Buda, even down to San Marcos in the very high category, and then very high also for Llano, Burnett, Mason, and Fredericksburg and Blanco County included. All right, fire weather forecast for tomorrow. Now, thankfully, we take things down for our Friday, but we're still tracking changes as we head into our Friday. There's a look at 5 p.m. Friday afternoon. Most of us will be hitting the 80s tomorrow, so very warm day to start off the weekend. Then we have a cold front moving in for our Saturday morning. Now, this is going to lift up a couple of showers, maybe an isolated thunderstorm possible, but really not enough rainfall to mitigate that fire weather risk that we will also have on Saturday. Those northwesterly winds are really going to boost up that potential for fire weather danger once again for our Saturday. So please be prepared for that. We discourage any sort of anything that would cause a spark or of course any outdoor burning for the next few days. All right, so we got some changes as we head into this weekend. However, the start of next week is looking really nice. Spring temperatures on Sunday, 68 degrees for that high temperature. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we warm right back up into the 70s and 80s. Hannah, what's up?
Oh, good morning to you. It is Thursday. Your time now is 7:09, and I've got some notes to share with the class, so let's get into it because we're gearing up for South by Southwest, which means we've got thousands of visitors coming, and we're definitely going to feel that on our roadways. Right now, though, a big traffic alert for anyone traveling in from North Austin, my Round Rockers traveling southbound. A pretty bad crash out there right now near Runberg Lane, and the backup is not looking pretty. We're talking like several miles now, all the way up to Howard Lane. So if you were traveling through that Walnut Forest area, you will want to avoid the stretch of I-35 until we get it cleared up. And even the frontage road is starting to look kind of congested at this point. So if you want to take Lewis Henna down to Mopac, you can just stay on 183. You can stay on the 130 toll road or kind of weave your way through Palmer and get real creative with it. But you don't want to be stuck in that. That's what I do know. We also have an active crash downtown where a lot of that activity is going to be heading into the weekend. 5th Street at Red River Street, that's still going on. And then aside from that, looking pretty pretty decent across the rest of the map. We have that incident still in East Austin, and then to be expected, some typical slowdowns coming in from South Austin as well in those northbound lanes. We had a pretty bad crash earlier near Gerald. That is all quieted down, moving through the Georgetown area, so looking much better. Good morning to the Hill Country. I know y'all are focusing on that fire danger today, but the roads are looking good at least, nice and green. Heading east, also pretty quiet as well. Some little slowdowns in LaGrange, but nothing we can't handle for now. The main headline, Rob, is don't get on I-35 heading towards Runberg Lane, coming in from North Austin.
Yeah, staying off I-35 is always a good idea, whether it's now or for the next 10 years while they're working it there. Well, another big cut possibly coming to the federal government. ABC News reports that President Donald Trump is preparing to dissolve the Department of Education. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has these details.
This morning, ABC News has learned the Trump administration is preparing to dissolve the Department of Education as soon as today. Sources say a draft executive order directs Education Secretary Linda McMahon to facilitate a department closure this week. The Department of Education employs more than 4,000 people, spending $251 billion last year. Trump has said he wants to give education back to the states.
I'd like it to be closed immediately. Look, the Department of Education's a big con job.
It's unclear how Secretary McMahon will close the department. Congressional approval is required to abolish a federal agency. Elsewhere, the Department of Veterans Affairs now plans to lay off some 72,000 workers. That's 15% of its workforce.
Now, we regret anyone who loses their job. And it's extraordinarily difficult for me, especially as a VA leader and your secretary, to make these types of decisions. But the federal government does not exist to employ people. It exists to serve people.
Senator Jerry Moran, chairman of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, slamming the move, writing, quote, "The VA is in need of reform, but current efforts to downsize the department and increase efficiency must be done in a more responsible manner." Elon Musk on Capitol Hill last night updated Republicans on his efforts to cut spending.
You know, there's a lot of opportunity to improve expenditures in the government, and then we're making good progress.
At a Morgan Stanley conference, Musk argued the government should privatize anything that can be privatized, including the Postal Service and Amtrak.
Basically, something's got to have some chance of going bankrupt, or there's not a good feedback loop for improvement.
Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Never heard it put like that before, but more orders from the White House. President Donald Trump is granting a 1-month exemption on his new tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada for, not for grocers that you're seeing there, but for U.S. automakers. Of course, this week, the Trump administration imposed 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada, 10% tariffs on imports from China. But the president is also facing market pressure and even some pushback from Republicans. Prices are, of course, going to rise across the board on everything from clothing to electronics, fruits and vegetables. Now, the Trump administration did acknowledge that his tariffs might cause inflation. Take a listen to Carolyn Levitt.
Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can assure the American people is that this president and this administration is doing everything they can.
Now, the president is also considering other exemptions, including eggs and some agricultural products. In response, the other countries aren't going to take it sitting down. Canada is now removing alcohol, American alcohol, from store shelves. You can see Tito's vodka, which is distilled here in Austin, is among those getting pulled off the shelf. The Liquor Control Board of Ontario is one of the largest buyers of alcohol in the entire world. According to Ontario Premier Doug Ford, the Liquor Control Board sells about $1 billion worth of U.S. alcohol every year. And sticking with your consumer news, Target is under fire this morning. Some shoppers are planning a 40-day boycott because they don't like the fact that the company is rolling back its DEI policies. That means that Target, of course, eliminating hiring goals for minority employees, changing diversity initiatives. And with rising inflation and with tariffs, experts say the timing of this boycott could really negatively impact Target's bottom line. Take a listen.
It's really like, do you get enough people actively supporting a boycott such that, it actually resonates into the boardroom?
Now, Target hasn't commented about this specifically, just saying the company is committed to being inclusive and that it does offer a range of products owned by Black and minority vendors. A 7:15 right now, and every week on KVUE, Hannah Rucker features a different child in Texas foster care, hoping to find them a forever family. And for this little boy you're about to meet, you're going to quickly realize it's hard not to fall in love with him. His caseworker, hopeful to find him a family that is patient and will provide him the opportunities to learn and grow. Here we go. Listen to Hannah Rucker.
In Joseph's world, life is a beach, and he is just playing in the sand. The smiley 5-year-old is in Texas foster care and in need of finding a forever family who can love and support him throughout his childhood.
Good morning.
Two of us met up for a morning of fun at the Therapy Explorament on Fitzhugh Road for some interactive play. He loved playing in the sand, feeding the animals, jumping into the foam pit, and enjoying the colorful lights. Joseph is a very happy little boy. He gets along well with other children. He loves being outside and getting fresh air. He loves Mickey Mouse, kicking around the soccer ball, and all kinds of games. As far as eating goes, French fries are his favorite, but he also eats his veggies too. His caseworker says at his foster home, he likes to take care of the other children and even help clean.
Hannah, thank you much. Again, as you've heard there, Joseph thrives in a family with other kids. To learn more about adopting him, you can look for this story on KVUE.com/foreverfamilies. Well, high school football in Central Texas is about to get a year-round upgrade. Austin ISD is offering girls flag football at all high school campuses starting next school year. The teams will compete late in the spring, so the girls can also play fall and winter sports. And when the district announced the plans via social media, Athletic Director Jason Glenn said 127 girls reached out within the first 6 hours. Here's Jason.
I don't know if you can feel it, but the energy I'm feeling, I'm excited. There's nothing wrong with having football year round. And to have our young ladies do it, if somebody has a daughter of his own who plays some powder puff football, who caught a long post route and also caught a fade on another, just putting it out there. She did an amazing job. So just by seeing my daughter being a part of it and having the vision of that, and we're bringing it here to Austin ISD is amazing.
Yes, Jason, the proud girl dad. I feel you, my friend. All right, the Dallas Cowboys pledged to provide the equipment and the uniforms, by the way, to all these teams with 10 or more players, which is pretty incredible from Jerry Jones and company. And one more reminder, today is the last day for the biggest online giving event in Central Texas, Amplify Austin. It's day 2 of the second day event. A push to support the nonprofits. 750 groups are taking part, more than last year. The group I Live Here, I Give Here organized it. We talked to the executive director who says they really need the help again this year, especially with what's going on. Take a listen.
That right now there's a lot of insecurity among nonprofits in regards to funding, federal funding, state funding, local funding. It's just all up in the air right now. And so it's all the more important this year that we come together as a community and support those nonprofits.
$10 million for the nonprofits. They raised more than that last year. And you can donate now for the next, let's say 11 hours till 6 p.m. A link on where to donate at kvue.com/links. Again, it closes at 6 o'clock tonight.
The new year, 2020, had just begun when Americans got some alarming news.
A Washington state resident fell ill after returning from Wuhan, China, where the outbreak began.
The mysterious virus half a world away spread rapidly across America, so quickly that just 6 weeks after that first case was reported in the U.S., Austin officials made a stunning announcement.
I've gone ahead and declared a local disaster. I have issued an order that effectively cancels South by Southwest.
The cancellation of Austin's gathering of conferences and festivals was symbolic of a city literally shutting down. Dramatic images of an abandoned and padlocked downtown entertainment district told the story more powerfully than words could express.
Now's the time to prepare.
Dr. Mark Escott was at the center of the city's response to COVID. Now, 5 years later, Austin's chief medical officer looks back on some of the lessons learned from America's response to COVID.
In terms of public policy, mandates are rarely the right answer. Vaccine mandates are not generally the right answer. Masking mandates are not generally the right answer. The better answer is to have a community and a society that, number one, has enough information to make informed decisions, but number two, is also able to balance the individual liberty with the needs of the community.
As the U.S. moves forward, the lessons from the pandemic are reshaping policies in healthcare, education, and the workplace. The impact from COVID has left Austin and the nation changed forever. Bob Buckaloo, KVUE News.
Bob, thank you. And he's talking about the fact that 5 years ago today is when the reality of the COVID-19 pandemic really set in, because it was 5 years ago today. Steve Adler, as you heard there, declared a local disaster, canceling South by Southwest, which of course kicks off this week, right? Pretty exciting. And there's a new addition that was just added to South by. Might be excited about this. Former First Lady Michelle Obama going to join her brother, Craig Robinson, to speak. They're part of a featured session. It's going to be next Thursday, a week from today at 1 p.m. Now, South by officially kicks off tomorrow, but the education portion has already been going on for the past couple of days. And if you're wondering how to get around, well, the good news is Cap Metro plans to extend rail service for all of South by. It kicks off again officially tomorrow, but last night trains, their late night trains rather, will run until 2:30 a.m. on Friday and Saturday nights, both weekends, and service until 12:30 a.m. on all other festival nights. And now this Saturday, 2 days from now, going to be busy. Austin FC playing at Q2, and the old Cap Metro app shut down March 1st, so riders are going to have to download the new UMO app for all rides. It's UMO app to download rides there. And hey, sticking with South by, guess what? Whataburger turning fan art into a museum during this year's South by. The Whataburger Museum of Art started as an Instagram page during the pandemic. Now it's coming to life in downtown. It's a 2-day exhibit featuring more than 200 pieces of Whataburger-inspired art. Yes, Whataburger-inspired art. It is ingrained in Texas culture, right? From paintings to sculptures. It'll be at Wanderlust Wine Company. And of course, there's going to be a food truck on site. You know what they're going to serve, Whataburger, right? The exhibit is free, open to everybody, all part of Whataburger's 75th anniversary celebration. And more South by. Let's talk about the movie portion, shall we? Seth Rogen's The Studio will be the festival's opening night premiere. Other movies premiering at South by include a thriller called Holland, starring Nicole Kidman. How cool is that? The Accountant 2, which that's going to be awesome. Ben Affleck and John Bernthal, that I can't wait to see that. I mean, was that at the beginning of Batman? Was The Accountant like the prequel to Batman, or am I making that up? The film and TV portion of the festival runs tomorrow, March the 7th, all the way up until the 14th. And we have the full detail on the 96 film slate for the festival on our website, KVUE.com. A lot of films to check out. And we leave you this morning with something to talk about. A sweet emergency in Oklahoma. A toddler calling 911 to help satisfy a craving. Take a listen.
Do you have an emergency?
Oh, yes. Can I get your
Hello? Donuts. I want donuts.
A little boy named Bennett used an old cell phone he was playing with to call 911. Officer checked in with his parents to make sure they were okay. There wasn't a real emergency. And the next day, police showed up with a sweet surprise. A box of donuts just for Bennett and his older brother. Now, police did use the moment to educate parents. Even old disconnected phones can still call 911 as long as the battery is alive. That is a great backup. You got to teach the kids, though, don't call it unless there's an absolutely emergency. But even if it's disconnected, you probably have old phones, right? The iPhone 5, 6, 7. Keep them charged, and your kids can always use it in an emergency to call 911. But kids, don't call 911 for donuts. Please don't do that. And that is it for Daybreak Plus. Let us know, what do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? Is it school? Is it traffic? Is it crime? Is it whatever it might be? South by. Message us, 512-459-9442. It's 512-459-9442. You can't call it, but you have to text it. You can also message me at Rob Evans TV on Insta, on Facebook, on X. And stick around because Daybreak continues right here on KVUE+. Goodbye, everybody.